to the Louie Bellina Show. It is Wednesday. I'm a little sad and happy and excited all at once. Why is that, Lou? Thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you for caring. It is our final Louie Bellina Show. Louie Bellina Show presented by CC Electric of the week. Thursday and Friday, starting at 11 a.m., it's going to be the NCAA tournament from Westwood 1. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 11 a.m., it's the NCAA tournament. Sure, Thursday night, A&M Women's WBIT. We'll interrupt the NCAA tournament, and you'll get to listen to it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Aggie Baseball against number 7 in the country, Georgia. We'll interrupt the NCAA tournament to bring you Aggie Baseball, of course. But our plan, 13 hours a day, starting at 11 a.m., the madness of March. You're on the zone, thanks to Westwood 1. No Louie Bellina Show. No Paul Feinbaum powered by Polaris Fun Center. No Chip Howard Sports Talk. It's NCAA tournament, A&M women's basketball, NCAA tournament, Aggie baseball. That's it. That's the zone as we know it, and I feel fine. So today, on the final Louie Bellina Show, as I sit inside the Charles Schwab studio, here is the Blueprint. 11:15, 11:16, Chip Howard Sports Talk. 11:32, our first listen-in will be A&M offensive coordinator. That's a lie. A&M defensive coordinator, Lal Hemphill. You know, yesterday, live at 1, we did A&M head coach Mike Elko spring football kickoff media day. Both the coordinators spoke after him. Today, we're going to hear both coordinators. And they were awesome. They were both simply fantastic. Energy, excitement. They had something to say. It was refreshing. They were great. They were both great. So 11:32-ish, Lal the order. Yeah. A&M offensive coordinator, Holmon Wiggins will be 11:32. And about 12:10 will be A&M defensive coordinator, Lal Hemphill. Then at 12:35, our monthly beer recommendations with Alan Ward of Brigadoon Brewery on the D4 Land Services hotline. Again, the Blueprint. 11:17, Chip Howard Sports Talk. 11:32-33, A&M offensive coordinator, Holmon Wiggins, a listen-in. 12:10, A&M defensive coordinator, Lal Hemphill, a listen-in. And at 12:35, Alan Ward of Brigadoon Brewery on the D4 Land Services hotline. There's another part of the equation. I said every day this week, you can win tickets to Chili Fest. The ticket booth would be open thanks to Dixie Tire Company. There is no every day this week because I'm not here Thursday, Friday, as I mentioned. So every hour today, I can tell you it'll be right about 54, 55 each hour to be even more specific. I'm going to throw open the ticket booth thanks to Dixie Tire Company. We're going to give away a pair of tickets to Chili Fest. Listen in to win. Yeah, Wednesday's going to kind of rock. At any time today, do you have a question? Hey, Lou, who's going to win the NCAA tournament? Do you have a comment? Lou, Aggie football is going to win the national championship. Do you have opinion? Lou, I hate craft beers. Text me, 979-693-1150. 979-693-1150. I'll look. It's open all the time, actually. I'll see the Texas Mobile One Lube Express inbox. What do you have to say? What's on your mind? Sharing, I once heard, is caring. Text 979-693-1150. We begin our day. Congratulations. Maya Perez, that's an A&M softball player. She joined us on the Louie Bellina Show during the offseason. She was phenomenally fun to speak with. She had one heck of a summer. Went home run derby. And more. But Maya Perez was the SEC Player of the Week. Why? Because she hit .833. She had 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, 5 hits, 5 walks, because she went off. She was insane. She helped lead the Aggies to win their first ever series in Baton Rouge when they won games 1 and 2. Yeah, well deserved. Maya Perez, Aggie softball, was the player of the week. Third of her career, by the way, for SEC player of the week. 833 average, 2 homers, 6 RBIs. Congratulations. We move on, Maroon and White Universe, and we're all hanging out, having a good time in it. Last night, Aggie Baseball midweek action. They're taking on Texas State, and it did not start well. They're down 4-0, and this is the middle of 2. The Aggies took a second to get warmed up, but a 7 spot in the 4th, some insurance with 2 runs in the 7th, 9-6 final. Again, they're down 4-0 early. Cole Hubert ended up being the starter for the Aggies. His first time he's ever started for Texas A. And the freshman had a phenomenal first, 3 up, 3 down. He did not escape the second. 4-0 Texas State, middle of 2. Aggies in the 4th, 7 runs. Pacing the way, Caden Sorrell hit 2 bombs, had 4 RBIs in the game, 4 of the 9 A&M had. Caden Sorrell now has, 11 on the year through the first 20 games. Absolutely insane. I just say, absolutely insane. And the A&M offense, the usual suspects. Sorrell, 2 for 4, 2 homers, 4 RBIs. Gavin Grahovic goes 2 for 3 with 2 RBIs. Hakopian, yeah, it's a hit, but it leaves the yard. Top of the order ends up going 7 hits and a walk mixed in. Rest of the order, not so much. But still, 9-6 coming from behind. Juan Vargas settles things down in relief. Clayton Freshcorn with the save. It did have a hit and walk. It was not necessarily El Perfecto, but he gets the save nonetheless. Something I've been pondering. You notice that Michael Early's had to use his weekend relievers in the midweek a lot this year. Is it intentional? Has it been necessary? Does he want to? Has he had no choice? Is it they throw on Tuesday anyway, so why not in the game? Is it something later on where if you see their innings inflated, where they're throwing twice on the weekend plus the midweek, 3 times in a week? Is it a bit much? I've been wondering about that, the innings for his back end. Basically, I'm thinking Vargas and Freshcorn, and they're having to throw in the midweek also. So just something I've been pondering, but something to think about later on. Aggie Baseball wins, 3 homers, 7-run, like I said, 4th. Come from behind, got it done. Hey, moving on. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, number 7 in the country, Georgia, makes their way to Bluebell Olson, and you will hear every single game right here on the Zone 1150 AM, 93.7 FM. You'll listen on the Zone app at radioaggieland.com, and of course, you could tell Alexa, play Zone 1150. Georgia excites me, but the following weekend, they got Missouri. That's the one that's circled on my calendar. Going to Columbia. Revenge shall be mine. Missouri was the dagger. If you want to know everything you need to know about Aggie Baseball 2025, the second most horrifically disappointing season in the history of Aggie Baseball, the Missouri series. The Missouri series. So, revenge. Do it for, I don't know what the rallying cry would be, but I think you get the point. Anyway, let us listen in now. Michael Early, A&M baseball coach, after the come from behind dub last night.
What are the different challenges that different midweek opponents face or pose to you throughout the year?
Yeah, you just know you're going to throw a lot of pitches, right? You try to get some length from your starter, and if you don't, you're kind of in a predicament. You got to change the ball a lot, and that's a really good team. Really good team. Had some good arms on the mound, really good in the box. Always really competitive. So, and they're doing the same thing we're doing, right? They're in the same boat, but it's just games are tough, especially after coming off an emotional weekend. You come in here, you get to play at home, which definitely helps, but it's just that swing of emotion, getting back at it. And I thought our guys, we started slow, but they were just getting out. Like, they were getting hits, we were just getting out. They just kept playing baseball, and I was very, very proud of just them playing 9 innings tonight and playing clean baseball.
How much did the flow of the game and being down 4 runs early change the game plan to where you had to use those 3 most trusted bullpen arms?
Yeah, for sure. It changed a lot. Gavin threw 58 pitches. We're asking a lot out of him. He threw a lot on Sunday, throwing the day. That was worst case scenario. If we'd known that, we just started. So I thought he was great tonight. Showed a lot of guts just coming out there. Gavin has the ability to throw a lot. Not everyone does. I think maybe it's the uniqueness of the arm angle allows him to get up, get down. But yeah, that's just how it is. We're going to play every game to win. And some of those Tuesday games, you're going to win some by a lot. You might lose some by a lot, but you're going to have a lot of those tight ones, and those games can easily slip away. And I thought our guys were great tonight. They stayed in the game. There was no panic, and they just kept playing baseball.
So that 7-run 4th inning, was that just sort of the epitome of resilience from your guys tonight, and just really bouncing back and sort of getting over the hump, I guess, of that emotional weekend too?
Yeah, I think it's real easy after 3 innings. I think we had no hits to change your approach at bats. Some guys hit some balls hard. The guy made some pitches. He threw strikes, and we just weren't getting hits. And it's easy to go out there and try to make it happen, but they just kept flow of the game. I thought the at bat by Kellner, Harrison, just staying with it, not trying to be a hero, passing to the next guy. That's what you got to do. You got to play every at bat. The score is, depending on the situation, could be a little different, but it's 0-0. The count's 0-0, and you just play ball. So that's good, because you've seen that before, where guys start trying to do too much. You feel the momentum swinging, and I thought one of the biggest at bats tonight was just Chris Copian hitting that home run. Just kind of got us on the board. Got the place juiced up, because we hadn't given them to that point anything to be juiced up about. So that was huge, and just the at bats throughout the night. Some late that I thought were fine, but just that inning was the definition to me of resilience and playing pitch to pitch.
Came with 2 more, and now moving to the top 8 all time.
Really?
Yeah, home runs, and just thoughts on his night and thoughts of just him as a player again.
Yeah, he's an incredibly talented player. That's pretty cool. Top 8, and didn't play every day as a freshman, and definitely he played 24 games last year. So super talented player. He swings at strikes. It's really good. Ball's in the zone. He hits it when he's on time. Yeah, and don't get. That guy's a really good outfielder too. I think we've seen over the course of the last couple of weeks and the last couple of games. That's one part of his game to me that gets a little overshadowed. But we've all seen him make plays here over the course of the last 3 years. But yeah, just a really good player, and we're lucky to have him.
Any update on Stewart, the pitcher?
No update.
A&M Baseball head coach Michael Early after the win last night over Texas State. 2 more things for you from the Maroon and White Notebook. A reminder, yesterday we get to hang out, check in with A&M men's tennis coach Steve Denton. Tonight at 6, number 5 Ohio State. Friday at 6, number 6 Mississippi State. This is the 3rd straight week that they battled top 10, top 10, top 10, top 15, top 25, top 25. What a brutal stretch. And they're on fire. They've won 3 of their last 4, looking to end up making 5 of their past 6. They've been on fire. So if you want to get out, you've never been, first time, you're interested, incredible matchup tonight. Number 5 Ohio State at 6 tonight, and then Friday, number 6 Mississippi State. And updated mocking of a draft NFL edition PFF. Cassius Howell, number 15 to Tampa Bay. Would that now be 3 Aggies on the Buccaneers? And he is the only first-round pick. KC Concepcion would be the number 1 pick of the 2nd round. Chase Basantes would be the 10th pick of the 2nd round. No 3rd-round picks. That'd be 3 Aggies in the first 2 rounds, according to Pro Football Focus. Remember something, with San Francisco taking 2 Aggie wide receivers in free agency, and that's been the number 1 landing spot in the first round for KC Concepcion, they're not taking a wide receiver in the first round now, most likely. So that might have been the landing spot gone now for KC Concepcion, pushing them to one of the first 2 picks in the 2nd round. At least PFF sees that narrative too. And PFF is one of the few that still have Cassius Howell as a first-round pick, and they have him at 15, where others have moved him to top 5 in the second round at this point. When we return, up next here on the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, the Louis Bellina Show, I'm going to go at Wednesday, right? Chip Howard of Chip Howard Sports Talk. We catch up each week here on The Zone.
The Money Machine opens again April 20th. Another chance to win $5,000 from The Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, community. Wednesdays, right about now. Joined by Chip Howard Sports Talk, inside the Charles Schwab studio. Chip, on a scale of 1 to Super Bowl, where do you rate March Madness?
Super Bowl beyond.
Oh, bigger than?
Yeah.
If
For me.
Okay, if you could only have one,
yeah,
you would pick March
no
Madness
doubt.
over Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, in a heartbeat.
Shocking.
No, I don't watch the NFL.
College Football National Championship or March Madness?
Could I say equal?
No. That's the cop-out answer.
Equal.
No. And now, the beautiful thing is with the College Football National Championship, we've got 3 months of the playoffs. So we even have more of it.
I mean that part is true. It's not. I don't equate it like March Madness quite. I'm interested in this year, especially in the years to come, to see what NIL does to these early, weekends, the first weekend upsets. What will they still happen? I think there'll be fewer, because the little schools just don't have the money to pay the big bucks for players they're going to be seeing with these bigger teams. So I'm very anxious to see, can we have, UMBC beating a number 1 seed? I don't know that, but that's why you watch.
I always felt like that the madness was due to the committee's awful seating. Like a 10 beats a 7. And then you look at and the 10 is really supposed to be like at the 7.
Look at BYU.
And the 7's closer to 9.
Look at BYU at 6. BYU is a 9 or 10 seed, right? I don't know why they're at 6. Maybe they'll prove me wrong, but I don't think so, especially with the injury to their second best player, right, Saunders. So, there's mistakes every year, and maybe that plays into it. And if it does, I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm okay with that. Just to see I like the little guys beating the big guys. So, we'll see if that can happen.
Yeah, I always thought the Cinderella thing was just a little fake.
Well,
it doesn't bother me.
The first weekend usually is when it happens, Lou. That now somebody has in the past, caught fire and gone to the Elite Eight or even the Final Four. That could still happen. And again, I just don't know the answer to that yet. We'll see.
Who do you have out of the East region?
I have Duke. Duke is Duke. They're on TV.
Even with the injuries, you're good with it.
They're on TV more than Leave It to Beaver. They've got the best player in the country.
So you don't think UConn can take it?
Yes.
UConn
UConn can beat Duke. I have UConn and Duke in the Elite Eight.
Who do you have out of the South region?
I have Florida out of the South beating Houston.
I took Houston just because I don't like Florida. I didn't use any metrics or Ken Pom.
I get it.
I just said, you know what?
They could get there. There's Kelvin Sampson certainly knows the way. You got to look at coaches too this time of year, Lou.
Out of the West region, who did you go with?
Arizona. I have Arizona winning the whole thing.
I wanted to, and I haven't done a final bracket. I do have them, of course, in the Final Four. And they've got to be the number 1 pick. They've got to be the most popular pick in America is Arizona.
Yeah, I'm sure that's probably true.
They've been the most consistent all year.
Well,
they've
got everything you need right now. To me, they've got the senior point guard who's really good, right, Bradley. They've got the size. They've got a lot of size. They can shoot the ball. They've been good all year. They've lost 2 games all year. I watched them in the Big 12 tournament. They're back to they had a little skid. I say a little skid. They lost 2 games in a row, but it was a Big 12, right? I mean, they lost to 2 good teams, so you can't just say that, but. I like Arizona there. And I've got one upset in the bottom bracket. You'll get to that.
I was going to ask you this. Is it every year or just this year? But I feel like every year the Midwest is always the most up in the air quad pod region.
Yeah,
every year the Midwest is where they go, let's have a little fun.
Man, there's some good teams there. But there's, there's good teams everywhere. I look at Arkansas. I have Arkansas and Arizona playing the Sweet 16. That's a Final Four matchup. To me, right? If that happens, if those 2 teams get to the Sweet 16, that's a Final Four matchup to me.
Who are you taking out of the Midwest?
I've got
the wild Midwest.
I got Iowa State.
I knew it. Come on, you're old Big 12 guy at heart. And
I am.
Iowa State is a legit good team.
Yeah. I have. I like Texas Tech in the Final Four before Toppin got hurt, Lou. I just thought the coaching, how they're constructed, how this guy, I'm a big McCaslin fan. I love the way they play. But Toppin's injury just killed him, and they don't have the size to match up with Michigan, in my opinion, in the Sweet 16. So I'll have Michigan and Iowa State playing in the in the Elite Eight, and I have Iowa State winning.
So Iowa State.
That's the only non-chalk team I have.
I noticed. So you have Iowa State, Arizona on one half, and you already said Zona's going to win it all.
Yeah,
so
and Duke and Florida. I have Duke beating Florida and Duke and Arizona in the finals.
So Duke, Zona wins. So you went chalky chalk.
I did.
Chalky chalk.
I usually
Second
don't.
straight year, right? Not for you, but overall, last year was all chalk.
It was all chalk last year, and that's what I'm saying. This NIL may have changed this tournament, Lou, and not for the better, in my opinion. So we'll see.
So we do need to expand.
No. Oh, good gosh, no. Please, no.
What is it, 78? What is it?
76. I don't know. They're going to screw it up. It's the NCAA. They're
When
going to screw
Auburn
it up.
doesn't
They
get
can't
in-
leave a good thing alone.
When Auburn can't get in, we need to fix the injustices.
No, 15
of the
losses.
committee.
15 losses should not be in the tournament, Lou. I'm sorry. 15 losses should not be in the tournament.
So I'm not sure how you fall with this because, like, Miami of Ohio did get in. Do they have to win tonight
No.
to justify the committee
No, I don't
behavior?
think so. I don't think so. SMU's a decent team. SMU barely got in, but we've seen them play, right? And I've watched them quite a bit. I mean, they've got talent. They've got a great guard in Boopy Miller. I mean, when you've got a great guard, you have a shot. They don't have to justify. Miami of Ohio has to be in this tournament, Lou. They were 31-0. Give me a break, and don't get me started on these conference post tournaments that are ridiculous.
But if you can't
you're
win
going
when
to
it counts
expand,
most, should you be
Lou,
in the tournament?
Lou, if you're going to expand like
Right.
they are, then. And I know they're not. I get it. They're not going to do away with the conference tournaments, just like they're not going to do away with the football conference tournaments yet. I still, in my heart, believe eventually that'll happen
It is.
if they expand.
They're going to turn into college football playoff playing games.
Yeah.
We're
And
still
I'm-
going to have a weekend like it, but it's just going to be renamed.
I'm fine with that. You know, I'm okay with that. But the conference tournaments, please. That's why you play all year, right? Miami, Ohio was 31-0, Luke. Give me a break. They should probably even be a higher seed. They shouldn't be in a play-in game, in my opinion.
By attacking their schedule, because that's the thing. They didn't play a single D1 team all year. You're saying, hey, you need to go on the road for the first 15 games of your schedule because no one's going to come visit you. And you should go play at Duke in North Carolina and take all your L's.
Yeah.
Because no one's going to come play at you. Because that's the only way they can make
guess what?
quad one.
They won't get in.
Right. I mean, and you say, well, they should be good enough to beat them. No. If people are willing to do a 1-for-1, I agree. But mandating that they have to go on the road for 20 straight games is dumb.
I mean, in one game, anybody can beat anybody. That's the beauty, again, for this tournament, in one game. Now, you play 7 games.
For one shining moment?
Yes. The original one shining moment. Luther Vandross, right? The original. Not the one they've screwed up every year since. And
so you don't want the Sabrina Carpenter version?
No.
What if Taylor Swift did it?
No.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, hell
T-Swift.
no.
Chip. T-Swift.
No.
Chip.
I got Luther, man.
Okay. I know.
That's why he's in the back. That's why he's on the background of my contest. I got Luther. I'm old school.
Even Taylor Swift?
Yeah, especially.
Wow. You're hard to please.
I know.
If Taylor does it, it's perfect.
Okay.
Just making sure. Before I let you roll, Chip, tonight, Dallas Stars. Colorado Avalanche.
Ooh,
at Colorado.
I didn't realize that.
This is the last real week of the season. You know, there's only like 15, 16.
Yeah.
It's a 4-game week.
Yeah.
Colorado.
And they finally got beat, right? Dallas got beat by Utah
Monday
at home.
was a big stumble.
Yeah.
6-3.
Yeah.
4-goal second.
Yeah.
Third. Sorry, 4-goal third.
Yeah, hey, after 16 games, Lou, that's going to happen in the middle of the season. It's going to happen.
Were they looking ahead?
I don't know.
One of those nights.
It's going to happen.
I know. Look, Chip, when you're on fire, when you're not losing, you don't ever want to lose again.
I get it.
You know, what were they, 8-0-2 or 9-0-1 in their last 10?
Well, they had 14 straight point streaks,
They
right?
had lost since like
15.
January or something.
I know.
A game without a point. I need to correct myself.
Yeah.
They lost in a shootout.
Yeah, a game without a point.
So, just when you're on fire, you don't ever want to not be on fire.
Yeah.
Especially heading into Colorado.
I was watching Colorado and Edmonton like 2 nights ago, and Edmonton scored 3 straight goals in the first. It was like 4-1 after one. I don't know because I forgot to look who came back and if they came back.
Lance have lost 2 straight.
Okay, so they did
So
lose that game.
answers that.
And they were at home, by the way.
I wonder if these teams are getting bored.
Yes.
Smelling the playoffs
It's that
ahead.
time of year, no doubt.
And both teams are going to have to shut it down at some point to get playoff ready.
I don't know in hockey.
They're ahead. They're not. The points won't matter anymore.
Yeah, it's probably if it gets to that, sure you do. You got to get some rest, right, going into the playoffs. The Stars have just had brutal playoff matchups the last 2 years. Brutal. I mean, in my mind, the hardest of any road to go, and they've come very close.
Now that the World Baseball Classic is over, can you finally sleep?
I heard John Smoltz say this, and I'm all for it. What could improve it? Put it in the middle of the season. That way all the pitchers are not restricted to innings. If you want to replace the All-Star game, I think that would be brilliant for a week. Replace the All-Star game and do the World Baseball Classic. Because, Lou, you've watched. These South American teams, they love their baseball. I mean, the atmosphere was incredible. And you're not going to fill up Miami's baseball stadium unless you do the World Baseball Classic.
I would also say don't have announcers as managers.
Yeah.
That would be my last other tip.
That would
for
be a good lesson.
What do you got today, Chip?
So Scott Clendenin is here.
I know him.
Mallory is here, and
know her.
Steve Denton, the men's tennis coach, is on Wednesdays now, and we're going to talk to him. They play the number 1 team, Ohio State, tonight here at home.
Chip, be awesome. And
Thanks, Lou.
Enjoy the break on Thursday,
I'm going to
Friday.
love it. I'm going to love
When
it.
we return, I got the listen in A&M offensive coordinator Holmon Wiggins. This is the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric on the Zone. Wednesday on the Zone. Yeah.
Visit the Pod Center at zone1150.com and find every hour of every day of your favorite shows. Download or subscribe.
The Louis Bellina Show from inside the Charles Schwab studio. Yesterday, Mike Elko was live at 1 o'clock. Spring Football Media Day. Time now to listen in. New A&M offensive coordinator Holmon Wiggins also met with the media.
How you doing?
I'm all right, Tony. How you doing?
Good. So I guess for anybody who doesn't know what a Holmon Wiggins offense looks like, can you talk about philosophy, ideas, plans for this group, and what you hope to accomplish?
Yeah. Well, I've had the luxury of working hand in glove with some really good play callers. Of course, this will be my first time calling it, so I'm excited about that. We're looking to build off of what we've done, really well. There's no doubt that, I'm, a kid from South Central Los Angeles, so I play with an edge, I coach with an edge, so we want to make sure that, there's unbelievable effort out there, see a disciplined program that, goes out and knows what they're doing and doing it the way that it's supposed to be done. We want to make sure that, we're gritty. We want to be the most mentally and physically tough team kind of out there. Execution has to be at a high level. We talk about being explosive as well, being able to push the ball down the field. And I feel like everything starts with, the effort that we put out there on the football field. You talk about that speed that we play with can kind of cover up some of the, mishaps or mismatches that may be out there on the football field. So when we sit there, we want to make sure that we got the right kind of edge, do it the right kind of way with the right kind of intangibles, and play smart football. Talk about football IQ, being great in special situations, controlling the pace, being balanced, making sure that we make teams pay for, over committing to the box and being able to take advantage with some RPO stuff. You'll probably see a little more of that, and then being able to push the ball down the field in our play action game.
Let's go left side middle to Rob Havens from Aggieland Illustrated. Left side middle.
Howdy, Coach.
Howdy.
So how can you kind of prepare yourself for being a first-time play caller up in the booth? Are there guys that you can lean on that you've coached under and just going through drills and things, or how can they prepare you for that job?
Yeah, well, the great thing is Coach has done a remarkable job of kind of setting up the room for that already, right? When you talk about some of the guys that are already in there, Adam Cushing, who's been a head coach, who's our run game coordinator, Joey Lynch, who was a coordinator in the SEC, who's now coaching our quarterbacks. I brought in Brad Cornelson, who's a guy that I go way back, that was the offensive coordinator at Virginia Tech with myself, as well as Memphis. So there's a wealth of knowledge in there. Drew Hollingshead, who's been an offensive coordinator as well, our receivers coach. John Perry, who's done it at the highest level in the NFL and has been a coordinator. So I've got a bandwidth of knowledge kind of in that room, right? You talk about Coach Troop, you talk about Rich Skrosky. So the support is in there, as well as me being able to kind of make a couple calls with guys that I've worked with in the past as well. So I'm excited about, getting this thing started and excited about the direction that we're going.
Right side front to Carter Carrolls from 247.
Holmon, how did you learn that you were going to be the OC, and what did that mean to you?
How'd I learn? Coach pretty much just was like, hey, you know what, here's the deal. Colin, is probably going to end up taking off, and, I want to do my due diligence and be right by the program and going through my process. But he was like, you're definitely in the mix. And, as I go through it, I want to keep you, abreast and be transparent as possible. And when he made the decision, it was actually after we ended up seeing the selection and us getting a chance to kind of play Miami. I was at the office with my boys, and we were running around, and he just came by the office and said, "Hey, you got a second?" I said, "Yeah, I do." And he was like, "Hey, I got a chance to kind of go through this process, and you were the guy from the start, and excited to kind of get this journey with you. Now, here's some of the things that I want to be able to do, but also you're going to have to be able to do, to be able to see it, through a different lens, as well as, not just from the receiver's lens, but also from the quarterback lens and top down." And I was ecstatic. I think it means a lot. I'm fortunate and blessed to be in this position, and I don't take it lightly, and I'm excited about it, and I'm, sitting there hitting the ground running.
And I know a lot of times an OC will oversee a specific position, but you're not technically married to one, although you'll probably work with receivers a lot. But how beneficial is that to where you can probably work with every position, and what differences do you see in that compared to if you were overseeing one specific?
You know what? I think there's a huge benefit to be able to kind of just take a step back and look at everything from, just big picture, how things work. So I've had the luxury of being able to kind of just bounce from room to room. I can sit in on an offensive line meeting and kind of listen to those guys and kind of hear where guys are at, kind of see where guys are at, but also kind of give my viewpoint and my vantage point of what I kind of see that's going on. Hit to the, tight ends room and kind of listen to Coach Shea and see him kind of get guys ready and knowledgeable and how to master kind of their craft. So there's a huge benefit for myself to be able to sit there and see all these moving parts as opposed to being bogged down just by a position and trying to get those guys right as well as the offense.
Let's go back behind the lights to Tyler. He's with KBTX, CBS affiliate.
Yeah, Holmon, how much you've been able to get to know Devin Price, a young guy joining the staff, and kind of, just what does he bring to the program? What do you see from him as he starts his career? Yeah, well, Devin, it was awesome. I know he had, a prior relationship with Coach Elko, and there's no doubt that the Price name and the coaching kind of background kind of goes a long way. I had the luxury of being able to kind of talk to him when we started going down this road of possibly bringing him in as a student assistant or as an intern, and he's done a really good job of just coming in, kind of buying into kind of what we're doing, but also, giving us some tidbits and, some of the things that, he was a part of, the offenses, and as well as, the prowess that they had on the offensive side at Ole Miss, so being able to kind of bounce some ideas off of him and seeing how things work, but also he's the guy that is kind of closer to age, to some of our players. So, we can also use that, as a sounding board to kind of sit there and talk about some of these ideas and how would he take it if he was, still in that, locker room or basically still had a helmet on. Like, how do these things kind of hit your brain as we go about it? I'm a little far removed from that locker room. It's been a while, albeit I think I can still, go out there and play a little bit, and I got a couple plays, but, he's a lot closer to that realm than I am.
Let's go left side to Matthew from Student Radio, and then Alex.
To meet you, Coach. As you tailor your system to your personnel, what trait or skill do you find yourself prioritizing the most?
Well, when you sit there and you think about anything that you do, especially, from a schematic standpoint, it's always looking into kind of what we feel like our guys do well. And there's no doubt that, everything is going to be centered around the quarterback, albeit we've had the luxury of being able to recruit some really good athletes from a skill standpoint. We felt like we also had to go replenish, a lot of depth at the offensive line position. We had to go create, or we had to go get some bodies out of the portal at the tight end position. But being able to kind of see those guys' skill sets, see movement skills, being able to kind of make sure that we can tailor this thing to the quarterback. Marcel's done an unbelievable job of trying to, get better and kind of take that next step in his development. He's a guy that, can really throw the ball and push it down the field, but also he's athletic. So, we're going to get a chance to kind of move the pocket a little bit, do a little more naked and some different things from a movement standpoint to change the launch point and kind of help him in that capacity.
Stay on the left side. Alex Miller from the Bryant Eagle.
You almost beat me to the chase. I was going to ask you about Marcel, just some of the things that y'all are trying to pinpoint with him in his continued progression to take that next step with him.
Well, it's a little bit of everything, right? As we sit here and we talk about kind of what we're doing from a system standpoint, we've tried to kind of get rid of like some extra tags, not have as much wordy or verbiage, in plays, but also be a little more balanced and getting him to understand here's the plays, here are the issues, and overall just understanding what we're doing, how we're doing it, but also why it's important. So he's done a great job coming in and meeting extra with Coach Lynch, also asking the right kind of questions, and he's not the only one, right? Those other quarterbacks are doing a remarkable job. Brady's been phenomenal just asking the right kind of questions. He's a guy that's chomping at the bit to kind of know more and wants to know more. How are we doing this? So as you even, put in an installation, he's asking, not even, the 100 level, course questions. He's asking like, hey, the doctoral level, hey, how do we do this and how do we get there? So we're trying to kind of hold him off a little bit and say, hey, let's cross this hump, cross this road a little bit. But I'm excited about the quarterback position and where those guys are going.
Then obviously having to replace a lot of starters on that offensive line. Just what's kind of your point of emphasis with that group in spring practice and just how you feel about what y'all have going into this?
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is we're trying to get those guys to understand how we do things here, right? And, I'm excited that all of those guys are here. We got a ton of guys that have a lot of experience in the league, which I think is huge, right? Because it's always different when you have guys that, come from whether it be other, group of four schools. But, I feel like the SEC is just different. So those guys have time on the job, have an idea kind of what to do, have the experience, and they know kind of what type of players are kind of in this league. So for us, we're trying to get those guys just a base foundation of kind of what we're doing, how we do things, and now just try to stack and kind of build off of that. And then you couple that, of course, with a couple guys that, we've kind of had, in a batter's box that have been waiting, like Lamont Rogers, Blake Ivy, Robbie Bourdon, right, Ashton Funk. So some of those guys have done a great job as now, right, getting the chance to say, you know what, like I've been experienced, I've been entrenched in this system, in this offense, I have an idea what it takes, and they're ready to go.
Let's go back to TV row to Landon from ABC.
Hey, Coach, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
How important has it been to maintain the relationships with the players and coaches since you've been able to step into this new role with the same team? How important is it to continue maintaining those relationships with players?
Yeah, well, I think you never lose sight of the relationships, right? Because it's all about the people. And that's always kind of been kind of one of my biggest things, right? My background's in psychology, worked on my master's in counseling, and I don't take that lightly, right? There's more to a lot of these guys than just playing football. So if I'm just talking to those guys just about how to run a post or how to take a drop or how to, take a pass set, I'm wrong, right? And there's a lot of things that these guys are going through on a daily basis that a lot of people on the outside may not know and they may not see. So for me, I'm always trying to touch, basically get a chance to basically, love on those guys twice as hard as we do when we coach them. I want those guys to kind of know me. I want those guys to be able, and that's the program that coaches created, right? Like it's an open door. Like it's not like they have to go through, 6 different layers to get to the head coach. And it's the same as well as the coordinators and the rest of the coaches, right? But the biggest thing is they're our best resource. We want to invest in them, but we also want those guys to understand that we're here for them.
Your left side front to Tony and Carter.
Coach, so we had talked about you marrying personnel and scheme and just how you kind of built it around your roster. In a perfect world, to say everything, this roster is exactly how you want it. We saw Colin Klein do heavy personnels and two tight end sets. What were you looking for personnel groupings, and what would you want to see this offense look like?
I think at the end of the day, we're trying to win, right? So we're always talking about scratching where it itches, right? And that's going to be game by game. As you go in it, right, you may sit there and say, you know what, we wanted to base out of 11 personnel and we thought these things would work. But now if you're playing one-handed or you feel like, hey, you're getting more of an advantage in a different personnel, now we got to be able to adapt and adjust. And I think we have the staff to be able to make really good, in-game adjustments, get an idea to basically sit there and see what those guys are doing, how to set some things up. So I think it'll be a mixed bag of what we want from a personnel standpoint. We want to base out of 11. We will play some 12. If we need to, we would probably want to get a little heavier personnel and try to lean on some folks. So I think, whatever's asked, I think our guys need to be ready to basically go out there and execute it.
We'll go right side front to Carter and finish with Alex.
Holman, Coach Elko said last month if there was maybe one thing missing from the receivers last year, it might have been having kind of that bigger X type of receiver. Isaiah Horton, how well does he fit that role, and what do you like about everything that he brings?
Well, it's, as you sit here and you look at how we ended up trying to kind of makeshift the room, it started us trying to surround it around a big receiver. And just so happened that receiver decided to leave. So we got small quickly. So now getting a chance to get, a bigger body receiver that has, a ton of experience, that can, make the 50-50 ball, that can run the route tree, that can drop his weight, that has the ability to stretch the field vertically. I think he gives us an option. And it's probably great that he does have some history with the quarterback, him being a Tennessee kid and those guys kind of going way back. So getting a chance to kind of work on that chemistry, I think the experience in the room that he brings, a little bit of the leadership, how he's wired, I think all of those things will end up permeating throughout not only the room but also the offense.
And what would you like to see from Ruben Owens as he tries to cement himself as that lead back, and what benefits from last year kind of stepping into that role do you think he'll have?
Yeah, well, we want Rube to kind of be the best him. There's no doubt when I first got here, we thought that, he is one of the most talented backs in the country. Before the injury, he was showing promise and he was pushing to kind of be that guy as a mainstay. And then, of course, was limited a little bit. But then as you see him finish the year, he's starting to kind of get back into that groove. So I'm excited about kind of where he's at as we ended up going back through like some of the film, just as far as our self-scout, looking at his run tracks, looking at the decisions that he made. He does a phenomenal job. So now we're trying to build off of those things and also kind of get him, to that leadership role where now he can do it the right way off and on the field, and continue to be as consistent as he can be on the field when he's out there.
Left side, Alex.
This is a team that has to replace 3 captains, but has a lot of returning key players. Just from an offensive standpoint, what have you seen from the leadership from guys at this offseason as y'all try and replace some of those roles?
I think I see a more intentional approach by a lot of our guys, especially on the offensive side. Whereas when I first got here, we felt like that was lacking, and you always feel like leadership kind of starts from the top. So Coach Elko has done a great job of doing that and basically browbeating us to kind of make sure that we continue to lead. But now you kind of see the peer-to-peer leadership start to happen, right? These guys are out there trying to hold each other accountable. They're trying to lead by example and do it the right way on and off the field. Knock on wood, we got guys that aren't in any press clippings, and they're trying to do a good job of, keeping the main thing and representing us no matter if they're in the building or out of the building. So I'm excited about, that because the leadership has to continue to be that. And if we can keep it to where it's a player-led team, I think those are the teams that become, right, those most successful ones.
Just wanted to ask you, too, since the first time I got to talk to you, just who are some of the key people that you've learned under through your coaching journey, and just kind of the big picture things that you've taken from some of them?
Well, of course, I was an old running back, right? So I started at Illinois State. And when I was there was a guy by the name of Justin Fuente who was the offensive coordinator. So got a chance to, go and work with him. He wound up going to TCU, became the coordinator there, and then wound up becoming the head coach at Memphis. He was a guy that had, offensive acumen, did a phenomenal job of being able to set things up, had some tempo stuff, ran a little bit of options. So that's kind of where my craze for a little bit of the option game kind of came in. And then, of course, while I was there, Brad Cornelson became the offensive coordinator. So that was a guy that I was in lockstep with, tied hip to hip, and he was a guy that saw it from a different lens. And I brought him here because I'm more of a see something, go get it, and he's a guy that can analyze it and kind of, measure twice and cut once. So I think you need kind of that balance as you kind of go into some of those things. And then, of course, I got to Alabama, and I was there with Coach Sarkisian for 2 years and got a chance to kind of see, his mind, the way he set some things up, kind of also, right, that identity, but also the aggressiveness that he had, which started to kind of play a part in kind of my overall idea, philosophically, what I wanted to be offensively. And then when he left, Bill O'Brien, right, who was the head coach for Penn State, who's now the head coach at Boston College, Coach Tom Brady, and getting a chance to kind of work with him for 2 years there and getting a chance to see how he did things, but also the combination of the NFL game as well as, the college game and kind of where this thing was going. And he did a great job of, coaching Bryce Young, but also getting us to have an idea of what we wanted the receivers, the running backs, and all those guys to look like. And then my last year at Alabama, I was there with Tommy Rees. So I've had the luxury of working with some really good coordinators, some guys that, have had a ton of success, been a part of some of the most prolific offenses in the country, have coached, some really good talented dudes. So I'm eager, for our guys to now become kind of the staple and pretty much embody a lot of those things, but also us continue to basically take that next step and build off of what we've created so far.
A&M offensive coordinator Holmon Wiggins from the Spring Football Media Day yesterday, and I told you, he was simply phenomenal. And when we do the listen-in with the DC Lyle Hemphill, he is awesome too, and that'll be in our second hour together. I'll be right back. It's the Louis Bellina Show, Wednesday on The Zone.
You can hear the NCAA Tournament, March Madness, on the Zone 1150 AM.
Legendary.
And 93.7 FM.